Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley,
And I'm Connor Kongs.
and today we're talking about a new ship, kind
Well,
of.
if you remember, Stuart, that of the many Trek shows, many of which we get ships, well, Picard season 2 came around, and they gave us a pretty interesting fleet. A lot of ships were from Stowe, and our ship from that fleet has made it into Stowe, or at least has for a while now. But we've been given some very, very good reference by our good friend Thomas Maroney, and we want to give a beautiful shout out to this class, designed by Doug and John. I'm sure the pill helped a little bit as well, but that's the pill credited. We saw in the episode they released some concept art, but this is a full detailed look.
Yeah, the STO version of the Excelsior 2, the
Yes.
sequel to the fantastic Excelsior class. But not
Yes.
the sequel, because there's the refit in there. It's
Yes.
the 1.5, I
Yes.
guess.
And of course, Stuart, this is a breakdown of the design itself, but later on we'll do a full orthographically beautiful comparison with the Excelsior original and compare them, but that is its own separate spiel, or this would be like a 35-minute video, because you know it would be. So Stuart, first shot, clear, beauty, in motion, go play in Stowe right now if you want. We haven't looked at it for a while, and there's no motion blur, and it's right there. How do you think now? How do you feel now?
The Excelsior is a weird one for me because I didn't like it for the longest time, then it kind of started growing me a little bit. Yeah, we'll see what all these views hold in store, but not a ship that I think I would want to try to seek out in the game necessarily myself, but it does look very nice. But it's just not my thing, you know?
Ooh.
I know a lot of people are going to love this.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few instances of the last sort of 15 years where it's a faithful yet entirely visual update. Where it's like, oh, it's an Excelsior, but also, oh, it's a new Excelsior. It's the least reinventing the wheel while still giving the wheel the most brand new chrome paint job. Or in this case, not chrome, because it looks better. So it's a fascinating example of, for I would consider a spectacular visual update. That said, the first thing that sticks out to me is the window scaling. I mean, I have got the scale, we'll get to that later. But why on earth are there tiny deck windows and multi-deck large windows? What? Why?
That's a good question.
I guess they're arboretums a la refit, but ceiling windows? Because those are like giant.
Yeah, those might be like, yeah, one's an arboretum, one's a huge gymnasium or something. I don't know.
Why would you have them at the front of the ship? Like next to Blinkies?
Because it looks cool. It's like a 10 forward like lounge then. Maybe it's like multi-deck.
But it's like a skylight. Like you got to look up. Like that's a very flat surface. So the whole time, that's a terrible place for a.
The gravitational plane of those decks, those front areas
Oof.
are like shifted, so you're like,
Oof. I mean, either or those are normal size, and every other window is a pinhole. Because I didn't realize the disparity of scale was so radical here.
I think those are larger size windows, and the other ones might be smaller, but like more like portholes. But I kind of doubt that on a ship of this era. So
Yeah, I mean, you can see the escape pods, which we know are pretty big. I mean, this thing has got to be huge. Which for those windows to be 4 escape pods tall. I mean, visualize that for a second. That's building length, building height. My goodness.
yeah, when I first saw this, I would not have assumed those were window details. I would have assumed they were like the sensor palette or something like that, you know,
Right.
or the transporter emitters that are on the other side.
Oh yeah, where the transporter is.
I can't see any.
No, I can't see anything.
They could be in that back part by the impulse crystal. Who knows?
Yeah, but you're meant to be all over. Now the bridge module, very faithful, almost too faithful. You could say it's a little bit under detailed for me. And honestly, it makes me think too much of the back of the classic Excelsior's shuttle bay zone. Just the way it's gradient. It's nice, but it's again a bit too simple for me. But I love the nacelles. I always have for this. But the next view though is a very detailed bottom.
And there you got transporter emitters. You got 3 that I can see anyway. 2 in the saucer, 1 on the rear.
I guess it just has no top transporter ability. That's weird.
Oh well, it's kind of a weird angled shot. Like it makes the primary hull look so much bigger. It's just kind of distorted a bit.
Very sovereigny as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if that was a sovereign, if you put a sovereign hull to that, I think, oh, it's a sovereign refit or of an ilk.
Mm-hmm. But it's got those windows on this side too, on the bottom here. So I don't think they're windows necessarily.
They can't be, can they? Really?
I don't think so.
Because if you look at, I mean, the size of the deflector, they're deflector sized, and just the scaling, the phaser strips, RCS thrusters, and escape pod hatches seem so out of proportion. Those escape pods should be far larger, I would think. Like I said, I've got a scale we can compare in a minute, but those three things seem just out of whack. Now I'm fine in theory with RCS thrusters getting smaller because they're more advanced, but they kind of work as a nice chunky part of the saucer. Whereas if you make them too tiny, they become a very side note, and they're very small in this.
This was modeled by Tobias Richter, though.
Yes,
correct?
yes, prolific modeler. A lot of Stowe stuff. He was the one that did the Inquiry or the Zhenhe refit. Actually finished it from the Picard team, and it makes a very, very nice one. So he knows exactly what to add and not add.
Yeah, he does a really good job with stuff like this. So got to keep in mind too, this is a game model. I'm sure like a photoreal model might look a little different as far as window scaling and stuff goes.
Well, that said, I mean, they had the original model, so they would have based it on that.
Yeah, well, we always said with STO ships when we look at them, the windows always seem a little off, just for that game purpose, and also there's always like red emitters from where the weapons are supposed to be.
But I do find a lot of Tobias ones, like this feels way more show grade than game grade. Like we used to compare that, because I mean there aren't those red emitters really. I think that was a bygone feature we've kind of moved away from. But I do like the secondary hull. I do like the plate way it's separated everything out. I like the little bump at the bottom. The deflector nook is the same. You know, it's a nice, as I said, reinvent the wheel without having to reinvent it at all.
I like the phaser strips on these struts and on the bottom of the second.
Rather than a central one having two side ones. Yeah, I didn't see that. I like it. But the next view, of course, is a back view. A lot of detail comes to light here, which is, I don't think we ever saw this in the show. So this is like, aha, new stuff.
This I like. This shot I like. The way that that neck is done with each side having like, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a real fan of this shot actually.
It makes the whole thing feel more detailed, like kind of you'd want it to be. I love that after period launches in the pylons. That feels badass to me.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I like that cutout part in the middle with the windows and stuff.
I'm guessing there's a shuttle bay lowering hatch thing. So there's no visible shuttle bay door at all. So I'd assume maybe it's in the reverse. Maybe it's pointed out the hull. Because you wouldn't have a ship this size without a shuttle bay. That would be laughable. Yes. Unless they're in the neck. Those two neck grills could be shuttle bay doors. Big ones, but I have that caveat all the time in fan film CG because there is no space. So they've got to do something. Like, the doors work, clearly, but...
Garage doors do that. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
They don't look like any... No. The detailing doesn't look like a shuttle bay door, though. I wouldn't say they are. But
I wouldn't mind. I mean, it's a bit of a place between two impulse drives each. But it's like, okay, but a good clearance, good inside the shield bubble. Yeah, what do you think of the impulse? Very small primary, or are those secondary in the neck, and then two in the saucer?
I like the way it's staggered actually, and they're not. None of them are too big.
Yeah.
Like I hate when there's like big ones and then smaller ones.
Yeah.
This is like very well proportioned.
Yeah, I probably would have made the neck ones 30% larger, like the actual red bit, but just to fill out the space more because there's just a lot of empty space there. They clearly would be filled with impulse engines, but I do like the neck one, the saucer ones, the way it's sort of not integrated yet integrated. I don't know, it's a weird feeling. We're also seeing a third size of window, the ones behind the bridge module. Those are clearly bigger than the other ones. So we have pinhole windows, normal size windows, and giant windows. What?
The ones behind the bridge look like realistic to me. Like, it almost looks like the mess hall or something. Yep. A little bit bigger windows.
Yep.
But
that looks like real scale.
When you compare them to the ones you can see along above the phaser strip on the saucer there, it's like,
even the ones in the neck are 40% smaller, 30% smaller. Like, I don't mind variant size of windows. It's just why. It doesn't feel there's a reason here. Love the nacelles though. I love the new shapes of the main area. It's real cool. But Stuart, now orthographically, we've seen it in proportion. Now we get the true sense of the side and bottom.
Okay, I like the side. The profile view looks very good. The bottom, not so much. It's a little too stringy and drawn out for me.
Okay.
Almost like a Excelsior got like distorted in some kind of anomaly. I don't know. Those nacelles don't look thick enough from the bottom to me for my style anyway. From the side, they look great. And I love the how long that neck is, because that just looks really good.
Yeah, the side view I think is kind of superb. Although it does then point to question, you can see the window scale on the rim of the saucer. The rim of the saucer is a slice. If that's a deck, this thing is a mammoth, which is not, we'll see in a minute, but make the rims thicker. Jesus Christ, it's so razor thin. It looks a bit silly. Like, the secondary hull is phenomenal. It's familiar and different. The cells are great. But that saucer rim is just really tiny.
Yeah, it's hard to get scale out of this one with the windows and stuff.
And they're trying. Like, this is not like them saying F it or put windows everywhere. Like, in theory, they're trying. Oh, and forward swept nacelles. Or pylons. Hold on. They look back swept on the bottom view, but front swept on the side view.
They're both. So when they come out of the secondary hull, they go back. And then when they go up, they go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Sorry, it's optical illusion there. Sorry, yeah, shuttle bay.
Yeah, it's totally an optical illusion. But it looks like the shuttle bay is actually on the bottom part, where the cargo bay was on the original Excelsior.
Yeah.
Because it looks like there's a door there. And again, there's those windows above the... I don't think they're windows. I honestly don't. They all have the same detailing in them, which does look like an arboretum from some shots, for sure. But
they're just laughably big.
Yeah, and there's way too many of them on the ship. Like, if it was just there or just on the front, it'd be like, okay, it could be an arboretum, but...
Because the thing about the actual arboretum in the refit is that it's a normal window orientation, so you look out. If you stand on three directions of the arboretum, you're looking out into space, it's a nice view. Here, only one direction is a view. And you're never looking, you're talking to somebody... You're not even going to see it in the peripheral vision. It's the most... And down, I mean, the windows on the bottom, I mean, yes, gravity might be swapped, but that's rarely a thing. So is a floor all glass? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I wouldn't have a problem with that, actually. So if you're orbiting a planet, that'd be a nice place to go visit. You got, like, plants behind you, and then there's a section that's just floor where you can stand over the planet. That'd be kind of neat.
But that much space dedicated to... You know what I mean? It's a bit silly. But... the front and back view. Wow, that is not what I thought it was going to look like. For the front view.
It's a beefy boy. Yeah, from the side...
This you couldn't get from the show.
Yeah.
You would not know this.
From the side view, that I never would have expected the secondary hull to be that wide. And...
tapered.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That saucer is weird. There should be more of a angle to it.
Oh, that's a dodgy saucer rim.
Yeah, I mean, that could cut your pizza for you.
And this must be a huge ship, because those torpedo launchers, 2 in the neck, now feel so small that they feel like the most afterthought. Like, make that section then, I know it's a curve, I get that, but give it like a torpedo boat feel from like a nebula. Like, have him be more of a greebled, meaty segment, because that just feels... I mean, you never look at ships from the front in orthographic view, I get that, but that looks so odd here.
I had to zoom in to see it, but there's 2 photon torpedo launchers on each side.
The back view is awesome. Like, I love the curves, I love the deflectors, the torpedoes, I love the impulse. Like, the back is really something. And, I mean, I would still say that there are 3 shuttle bays, 2 in the neck, 1 on the bot. That's the detail.
Looking at the detailing now, yeah.
Although, boy, to open those doors, because if those deck lines are true, that bottom shuttle bay is like 9-10 decks of door.
That's just huge.
I mean, what the hell is the point in that? Open it'll take you 5 minutes.
Maybe it's all holographic. You can just turn it off. But looking at the windows around the edge of the secondary hull there, you get a sense of how much deck might be.
Oh.
And that is a huge door if it's a door.
Wow.
Okay, so the shuttle bay is a bit of a problem for me on this one. The navigation lights on the rear side of the struts. It's green and the red. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. What isn't funny, though, Stuart, is I can see what could be a bridge, 6 windows in the bridge module, maybe. Or just a forward deck with a view. Probably that. It's probably more like a briefing room style. But there are windows right at deck 1/2. Although, if the deck sizes are that thin, then deck 1 is the top bit, because that's not a deck then. Okay.
The first picture we saw, I was looking at that detail. I'm glad it wasn't lit up, because it does look like where a bridge window could be.
But decks don't make sense then.
And I'm not even sure it is a window. It could honestly be a sensor thing, like for forward scanning.
Yeah.
Because you think they would light them up if they were windows. Because that being a briefing room, or like, like the officers' lounge at the rear of the just underneath the bridge of the refit, that would be fine too.
Mm-hmm. But scale, Stuart, the next shot reveals all.
It's interesting compared to the Enterprise E there, the Sovereign.
Yeah, I was convinced she was smaller, and then the window scale really threw me for a loop. I don't know if I buy this.
You have no choice but to buy it, because that's the scale.
Because what's the Enterprise E? It's like, it's both 36 decks and 28 decks, depending on what line of dialogue.
Yeah.
I love deck 28, always getting attacked by everybody.
Like I said, I love that profile view. It definitely looks aggressive. Size-wise, though, I this is kind of what I thought it might be. I thought it might be a little closer to the actual Sovereign, though. It's not far off. But those nacelles seem quite small compared to the Sovereign nacelles. But I assume they're a newer design. I realized, too, we didn't put in... We had the Excelsior, the refit, which is 1.5, the Lakota, which is 1.8. Where does the Albina fit in?
Oh, well, they said that was a fresh class, just. But that's true. Yeah, well, when they get the Albina in stow, we'll see if we can get a legacy companion.
It looks good to look at all of them at the same time.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the size is fine, honestly. The nacelles do seem kind of weird size-wise compared to the Sovereign, but it's fine. It's a newer ship, so I don't have a problem with it. At least I assume it's a newer ship.
Oh God! I mean, have you seen the nacelles, Stuart? Yeah, it's super new. Must be. No, I think this is where I would put it as well. It just feels like a I'm not gonna say sleeked down Sovereign, but maybe a sleeked up Excelsior would be the best way of saying it. Because you can see a lot of Sovereign in this, but not literally Sovereign. But you can see the legacy of the two designs merging in terms of the sleekness of things. But really, it's still an Excelsior, just bigger.
Yeah, especially the shape of the neck and secondary hull, the bottom curve, the upper curve at the back. It's all very similar for sure.
But at the same time, not just it's not just a Sovereign like that.
Yeah,
it's a nice. But yeah, the windows are definitely a bit something here. Yeah,
because I'm looking at the scaling and I'm thinking of the size of the windows on the rim of the Constitution class there, and then you compare how big those would be to the ones on the side of the secondary hull. They are quite small then on this ship.
Oh, that's very true. And even if a Voyager, you can see the indents where the windows are, the slightly bigger windows, and those are easily 2 times the size of the windows from the Excelsior. Easily.
I mean, it's fine going back to a more porthole style window, like a little bit smaller, like on older ships. I have no problem with that. I just don't know why they would do that in this era.
I feel like someone made the choice to go porthole window, but then they didn't factor that into the deck height. So they then put more lines of windows, but now the decks are now smaller because the windows are smaller, which makes the ship bigger, but the ship's not bigger. I feel like there's a slight escalation of what?
Could be. Should be. Could also just be the standard for like STO ships that they kind of put those on. Like, I don't know. I have no idea.
This is true. But it does sound like this needs even more breakdowns in the future, because this thing has some questions to be had. Maybe even in comparison with Sovereign at some point as well, as a direct, ship by ship comparison. Well, I mean, some people seem to like it. We got good fan feedback from it. So if you want to see more of this ship, let us know in the comments down below. But what else can they do in the comments down below, Stuart?
They can interact with us or each other and have a good conversation about the ship, anything we discussed, anything we missed, anything you think we got wrong. Let us know your thoughts on it. Do you have it in the game? Why not? Go get it.
Right now. That's what we're doing.
So yeah, please comment down below, and also subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss any of our lives. Because if you like commenting down there and chatting with us and the other viewers down there, you should come join a live where you can talk to us in real time and with our great community. So if you're able to, please do.
And Sports Directly, if you can, while you're there in that community, by super chatting on any live we do on any topic, on any ship, on anything, or super thanksing. Now that is a super chat, but anytime, anywhere, any place, any amount. Like right now. We're not live, you're not, but you are live, hopefully. Yes, you are. You're right now watching this, so you can support us right now via super thanks. Any amount, say $5, thank you, all goes towards the show costs, and in this time of rising costs, those things are even more important, so thank you in advance. And, of course, Patreon, sure, that's monthly. Join the channel, monthly on YouTube, or PayPal, that's the other one I was thinking, Patreon, PayPal, Trekyards@hotmail.com. Thanks in advance, anything you can do would be fantastic, and I guess we'll see you next time.
So until next time, he is Commander Cocky.
He's Captain Foley. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.